And for more on this, we're joined by Professor Robert Patman, who's the Director of International Studies at Otago University. Thank you so much for your time tonight. We know they are bitter enemies, but what prompted this particular attack by Hamas?
I think Hamas perceived they had the means and the opportunity. The means seemed to be provided by Iran, and the opportunity seemed to present itself with Mr. Netanyahu, apparently through the eyes of Hamas, was vulnerable because of his weakening domestic position.
Conflict is obviously a regular occurrence in this region and has been for decades. What makes this event so significant?
I think the strategic shock that Israel has one of the most formidable militaries in the world, and yet it was caught cold. And the second element, as well as strategic shock for Israel, I think was the scale of the attack. This was a multifaceted attack, land, sea and air.
Was there anything that could have been done to stop this conflict from escalating the way it has?
I think in retrospect, yes. I think Mr. Netanyahu could have shown more empathy and support for the aspirations of Palestinians to have their own state. They've been wanting to do that for more than 5 decades. And I think Hamas should have been much more realistic in the way they approached the Israelis and stopped talking about the dismantlement of the Israeli state, which is a fantasy.
Robert, Hamas launched the first missiles in this case. How far will Israel take its retaliation?
Well, I think judging by the words of Mr. Netanyahu, he wants to teach the Hamas organisation a lesson they won't forget. He's talking about reducing the Gaza Strip to desert. The problem is that the Gaza Strip is a very small piece of territory, just over 300 kilometres or so, and it has more than 2.3 million people. So we're looking at a looming humanitarian tragedy here. So that population is hemmed in and they're going to get battered and come under great bombardment.
Chris Hipkins and a whole lot of other world leaders have been highly critical of Hamas. What can the international community realistically do?
Well, I think the international community, first of all, has to take an interest in the problem. This is a long-running problem. And I think, apart from the 1990s, where there was hope of a two-state solution, I think the world's attention has been largely diverted, particularly from the plight of the Palestinians, who face themselves under occupation in the West Bank and under a blockade in the Gaza Strip. So I think we do need New Zealand to build on the work of Mr. McCulley, a former foreign minister, who tried to get peaceful negotiations going between the Palestinians and the Israelis. What is happening now is not a solution to the problem. The bombardment of Gaza is not going to solve the problem. Ultimately, there has to be a diplomatic solution. There has to be a reconciliation between Israel's desire for security and the Palestinians' desire for self-determination and statehood.
Thank you, Robert. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.